presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Ohio.
Los Angeles and this area has not been a friendly place for the Reds in 2016. They lost in May 3 games at Dodger Stadium, and they're trying to avoid that same fate here today at the Big A in Anaheim. And hi, good evening, everyone. Along with Chris Walsh and Jim Day, I'm Jim Kelch, and welcome, as always, to Reds baseball. Well, the Reds try to avoid being swept here. They try to snap a 3-game losing streak in this game against the LA Angels of Anaheim. And Chris, I guess if you need a big win, lately the guy to turn to is the lefty Brandon
Well, you're
Finnegan.
not kidding about that, Jim, because Brandon Finnegan has been lights out and right on top of his game. Just take, for instance, what he did his last time out against the Arizona Diamondbacks. He went 6 innings of 12 strikeout baseball. And, I mean, it was really amazing for Finnegan. You know he's got a good fastball. You know he's got a nice slider. But, oh, that changeup last time he pitched, 9 of his 12 strikeouts came on that combio, and I'm sure he'll be flashing that pitch here this afternoon at the Big A.
You know, when we looked at the lineups today, we noticed that despite the left-hander Finnegan going, that Mike Trout was not in the lineup, Albert Pujols not in the lineup. But who is in there is a guy that's had a pretty big series against the Reds, C.J. Cron.
Well, C.J. Cron, you know, is a guy that has been on the disabled list. He's had some problems, had some wrist injuries, so they didn't think that when he came back, he would really have his power stroke down. Well, whoever they are, were very, very wrong. He's had nothing but power so far in this series. 3 home runs, 2 of them to the big boy part of the ballpark when he goes right out the front door. And he's a guy that's certainly in this lineup with the absence of Trout, with the absence of Pujols. A lot of eyes for Angel offense is going to rely right on C.J. Cron.
Angels will have Ricky Nolasco on the mound, and he will face a very hot Jose Peraza.
You know, the more you watch this young man play, the more you're really impressed with his stage presence. He really looks like he is comfortable at the major league level. He's not overwhelmed by any of the pitching that he's seen so far. When he does get on base, he gives you an added threat of stolen base. So he's going to play second base today, Peraza is, not over at shortstop or third base as he's played before. And it'll be interesting to see him there at second, which is where the Reds, by the way, project him long term.
All right, it's the final game of this series, final game of this road trip here this evening. Reds and the Angels from Anaheim. We'll take a break. When we come back, it's the last day of the month, so Jim Day counts down our moments of the month.
Ohio is brought to you by Skyline Chili. Feeling good? It's Skyline time. I'm Jim Day on the field, being bumped by leadoff hitter Billy Hamilton. We have reached the end of August, which means we're looking back on some of the top moments of the month, and there have been some great moments in August. Tough to pare these down, but we'll start with moments number 5, and the theme here is diving stops, diving catches. We will start with Zach Cozart in Pittsburgh. Not only the stop, but the flip to second base to get the lead runner at second. That is vintage Zach Cozart. Tony Renda got his first start in St. Louis on August 10th, and not only was it his first big league start, but what a big league play in the third to Rob Halladay. Showing a nice arm as well. And then the 15th, Scott Schebler. He's got some wheels. He can go after it and pick it. Diving catch in the 8th to Rob Prado versus Miami. Pretty play. Scott Schebler trying to make his mark as an everyday player for the Reds. Moments 1, 2, 3, and 4 coming up. What are they? Stay tuned. We'll go upstairs to the gentleman that will call the game, Jim Kelch and Chris Welch.
All right, thank you, Jim. Hopefully we'll see some defensive gems like that during the course of this, the 132nd game of this 2016 season. Let's take a look at the Reds lineup for this afternoon's game, the finale of interleague play for Cincinnati. Hamilton, Cozart, Zach is in the shortstop spot today, then Votto, Duvall, Phillips, and Schebler. Phillips is DHing this afternoon. Suarez at third, Peraza at second. Cabrera catching against the veteran right-hander Ricky Nolasco.
Well, he is a veteran. There's no doubt about that. This is start number 274 of Nolasco's major league career. Right now, he's won 104. He's lost 101 in the major leagues, and he came over here from the Minnesota Twins right at the trade deadline. It was a trade that a lot of people looked at and said, that makes some really no sense at all, because both the Twins and the Angels were expected to be sellers, neither of them buyers. But Nolasco, a right-hander, comes over here with a salary that will be paying him about $13 per year through 2018. So he's trying to right the ship. He's pitched a little better his last couple of times out, but overall, not a great season for Nolasco to remember.
You know, guy has a career that has now spanned 11 years with a 4.60 career ERA. That's pretty good length right there.
It is, but he's had some good years too. He's won as many as 15 games in a year. A couple of times he's won 13. What the Reds will see from Nolasco today is about 50% fastballs and 50% sliders, cutters, splitters, and slow curveballs. So he's a really off-speed specialist when it comes to defining his repertoire.
Hamilton, Cozart, Votto here in inning number 1. Billy at 258 with 3 homers. Driven in 17. Stole that base on Monday night, giving him 19 now for the month. So 1 away from setting a new individual career best for a single month, if he can get one here this afternoon. Hitless last night, 0 for 4. 1 for 8 in the series. Beaten here 9-2 on Monday, 4-2 in the game last night. That coming on the heels of the loss on Sunday in Phoenix to the Diamondbacks, 11-2. They've been stuck on 2 now for 3 consecutive games. Hit hard, but right at the first baseman, C.J. Cron, and that's the way this game gets started. Take a look at the Angels defensive alignment, brought to you by your Ford dealers. They have a different look here this afternoon or / evening in the Cincinnati area. Gregorio Petit is out in left field. Ortega in center, Buses in right. Marte, Simmons, Coward, Cron across the infield. Bandy catches Nolasco, and there's Ortega in center field replacing the very talented Mike Trout. In fact, we looked back through some numbers today and some stats and found out that this is the first game this year that either Trout or Pujols have not been in the lineup all season. First time this year that neither of them have started a game. Only the 4th time this year that Trout has not been in the starting lineup. Cozart at 260 with 16 home runs. Driven in 47. Hitless last night in 5. 0 for his last 12. Second baseman Coward cheats up the middle. Zach gets it in the air toward left field and playable for Petit. And he makes the catch. Well, left field has been an interesting spot for those guys this year. They've had 12 different players start out in left field. Here now is the story of this game from a Reds standpoint, and that's Joey Votto trying to become the first Reds player in franchise history to put back-to-back 400 batting average months together. Joey with a 2 for 4 last night. He came in to last night's game for the month at 396. 2 hits last night puts him right at the 400 mark. So we'll see how he does today. He goes 1 for 2, he'll get it. He goes 1 for 3, he'll fall a little bit short. He's had decent success against this former Marlins and former Dodgers pitcher Ricky Nolasco. 7 hits, a 318 lifetime average against Nolasco with a couple of home runs. Toward left field, Petit coming on. He's not going to get it. Votto has himself a hit. If you're trying to get to the 400 mark for the month, or at least stay above that mark, which is where he started today, it's good to get a hit early.
Very much like he did last night. You know, he made it out his first time up, and then he hit a shot to right field for a base hit, and then a blooper almost in an identical spot as where it lands today. So Votto right now making contact, hitting the ball hard, but when he doesn't hit the ball hard, he's finding that ball dropping in there. So that's how you get to 400.
He's hit now in 5 of his last 6 games. He continues to lead the major leagues in batting average and on base percentage since the All-Star break. Here's Adam Duvall. Adam at 248, 29 home runs, 83 RBIs, both tops on this team. His home run mark 4th in the league. His RBI total tied for 8th. And I don't know that anybody, maybe other than Duvall himself, thought when spring training began that he could put the kind of year together that he has ultimately put together. He's always hit for power in the minor leagues. It's a different animal transitioning to the major leagues, but he has done it. He looked very good in doing it. Certainly has an opportunity to get to the 100 RBI mark. 1 home run away from 30. During a major collapse, you'd think he could get there.
You know, I think players either have power or they don't have power, and Duvall is strong. He's got very strong hands and wrists, and he's got plenty of bat speed to hit home runs. The biggest transition you make, I think, for a young player, minor leagues to major leagues, is strike zone management. And his recognition of pitches has been good. Don't normally see him chase a lot of pitches down and out of the zone.
Oh boy, Votto is picked off. He was leaning.
Where's he going?
Right now he's headed back to the dugout. Votto picked off by Ricky Nolasco, his 4th pickoff of the year. And here comes Brandon Finnegan to the mound, bottom of the 1st. No score. of the first, and Joy is subsequently picked off to end the Reds half of number one, and now the Angels get their first crack at the left-hander Brandon Finnegan. Here's the lineup that Mike Scioscia puts forth today. A little bit different look to it, to be sure. Andrelton Simmons in the leadoff spot for the first time this year, then Cole Calhoun, then C.J. Cron, Jeffrey Marte, Jet Vandy, and Gregorio Petit in the middle. Rafael Ortega, Caleb Cowart, Nick Buss round out the Angels lineup here this afternoon against the youngster out of Fort Worth, Texas.
Well, right now, Brandon Finnegan is riding some kind of a high crest wave. He has pitched 2 very good ball games in a row, one against the Dodgers back on August the 20th. Took a no-hitter into the 7th inning. Last time out, struck out 12 in 6 innings.
A rip up the middle by Andrelton Simmons, and just like that, the Angels have the leadoff man on. Take a look at the Reds' defensive alignment, brought to you by your Ford dealers. Duvall, Hamilton, Schebler across the outfield. Suarez, Cozart, Peraza, and Votto, the infield third to first. A battery of Finnegan and Ramon Cabrera. Batter will be Cole Calhoun. Calhoun hitless in the game last night, 0 for 4. He was out of the leadoff spot, notable because it ended a 6-game hitting streak for him. Hitting .268 with 13 home runs. You made note on the pregame, Chris, about the number of strikeouts that Finnegan was able to get against the Diamondbacks with that changeup.
Well, it's a pitch that really I don't think the Diamondbacks were ready for, because nowhere did it ever show up on a scouting report.
Chip Hale.
And he sells it very well, because he's got what scouts would call a fast arm. I mean, he's not a big, tall guy, but he comes at you with his body, his glove, his arm very quickly, gets out of his glove and up behind his left ear. And he gives you the idea that he's coming at you a lot harder sometimes than he really is. And when you can combine that with a little bit of a changeup and get the hitters off stride, that's when he was recording all his swings and misses.
Runner on the move. Fly ball toward left field. Duvall will get there. Simmons will need to retreat. And he does for out number 1.
First baseman, number 24, C.J. Cron.
Now, the changeup is something that he has become more and more comfortable with. First 25 games, he had 9 strikeouts with that changeup. Friday in Arizona, he threw it 13 times, and you can see when he threw it. 9 of those times resulted in strikeouts. So he got ahead of the hitters with fastballs and sliders, and then pulled the string on him late in the count.
So the question then comes up as to what's the deal with his changeup? Was it a pitch that he just wasn't working on or comfortable with? Did something happen to allow it to become a better pitch?
Well, what happened was, and we covered this a little bit in the pregame show in our baseball tech talk today, is that it kind of came out of his hand floating in towards right-handers. And that's a cutting is what a baseball pitching coach would say about that. So you don't want that to happen. You want that ball to fade away from a right-handed hitter like a screwball. And for some reason, a ball was coming out of his hand like that. Well, wouldn't you know, it was Dan Straley that took him aside and said, hey, you know, the same thing had happened to me in the past. This is what I did to get back on the beam with it. He showed Finnegan a new grip, and next thing you know, Finnegan's throwing it like a champ.
Gets a career best 12 strikeouts in that game against the Diamondbacks on Friday. His ERA coming into this game now 4.27.
The one thing we're going to see here, and we see it obviously late in the season, afternoon games, it's a 4 o'clock start here. We're going to see the shadows begin to creep across this field. It's not going to be very easy to see the baseball here in a matter of a couple of innings. Right now, pitcher is illuminated, so is home plate. That's about to change.
Simmons been in the cleanup spot in this series prior to tonight. He's at 288 with 14 home runs. So he has 3 of those home runs in this series. His 7th career multi-home run game came last night. He also had the 2-run blast in the 3rd inning on Monday night. Plate umpire this evening is Corey Blazer. Stu Sherwater, Jeff Nelson is the crew chief, and Laz Diaz the other umpires. Reds trying to snap a 3-game losing streak. The Angels looking to extend a winning streak that sits now at 4. Simmons moving, swing and a miss on a changeup, and a stolen base. The dandy right there. Gets the strikeout of Crone, the 2nd out of the inning.
Third baseman, number 19.
Yeah, really all a left-handed pitcher can do is throw over a few times, try to shorten up the lead a little bit. But still, if you're going to go with your off-speed stuff, it doesn't give your catcher all that much chance. And you can see the big jump that Simmons had in order to get that bag stolen.
Simmons gets his 5th, and now runner in scoring position for the Angels with 2 men out. Like the Reds, despite their bad record this year, the Angels have done a very good job hitting with runners in scoring position. They came into this series 2nd best in the American League at 278. They are 5 of 14 in the first 2 games of this series in that category. Marte at 257 with 11 home runs. He's driven in 32. Had a hit and a steal and a walk in the game last night. Finnegan gets ahead, 2 strikes. Moranza cheating way up the middle. You saw him out there talking with Simmons to keep Andrelton close to the bag. Now to 2-2. Higgins starts this game 147 and 2/3 innings pitched. Everybody down below. Mac Jenkins, the pitching coach, Brian Price, the manager, talk about an innings limit on Finnegan, but they never really throw out a definitive number that they have in mind. Swing and a miss on the ball in the dirt. Pretty good off-speed pitch there by Finnegan. Puts an end to the bottom of the 1st. Brought to you by Elk and Elk. How about the worst winning percentage in interleague play on the road since 2014? Boy, you just hate to see the Reds' name at the top of that list. A paltry 172 winning percentage. All those teams out of the National League. Can you make anything out of that? All the National League teams on the road lose in American League ballpark.
Reds obviously not built to play in the American League. They are 18-41 in all of the games they've played, home and away, in the last 3 years. I think it comes down to something more than just the DH, obviously. But that's one reason why the Reds have scuffled so badly in the standings overall, is because of their record in interleague play.
Yeah, they haven't had a good interleague record at all over the course of the years. Only a .424 winning percentage. They've had one winning record in interleague play in the last 5 years. This year, at best, are going to end up 6-14. That's if they can win here today. Ryan Price in his years here, 6-14 his first year, 7-13 last year. No better than 6-14 this year. Duvall, who was at the plate when Votto was picked off to end the first, in there to start the second.
There's the big slow curveball that Nolasco will throw in there from time to time. 1 out of every 3 pitches will be a slider.
Duvall chases there, doesn't get it. He's a strikeout victim.
Designated hitters, number 4, Brandon Phillips.
Well, the pitch sequence for Nolasco went slow curveball at 72 to a little bit harder breaking ball right there. And that's a slider at about 83 miles an hour.
So here now is Phillips. He's DHing in this game this afternoon. Hitting .284 with 9 home runs. And then last night, 1 hit, 4 trips. And Nolasco, the 33-year-old out of Corona, California, gets it in there for a strike. Phillips has had a decent amount of at-bats against Nolasco, 6 out of 27, but hitting only .222 against him. Well, Nolasco has spent the last, 3 years, 2.5 years in the American League with Minnesota. The bulk of his career has been in the National League with the Marlins, and after that, the Dodgers for a year. So these guys had a chance to see him a lot.
Well, you're right, especially with the Marlins, but it was the Twins that badly miscalculated what he could do in the American League when they signed him to a 4-year deal worth nearly $50 million. And when it was all said and done, he was traded over here to the Angels at the beginning of August. His overall record with the Twins over that period of time was 15-22. So they're hoping for a little better results here in Anaheim.
And his ERA was a full run higher with the Twins than it was in his years with the Marlins. Pretty big jump.
Well, you know, he's had a lot of arm injuries along the way. He's been sidelined with elbow injuries on and off. He missed half of last season, the second half, with an ankle impingement that saw him go on the 60-day DL. But if they can get him when he's healthy, he has put up some pretty good years with the Marlins, and they're hoping to regain a little bit of that magic touch.
Well, Phillips, like Duvall, strikes out, and so Nolasco has gotten the first 2 here in the second. We'll deal with a hot-hitting Scott Schebler. This guy has had, he and Duvall, I guess, have had the best road trips on the team. Schebler at 9 for 20 with 3 home runs on the trip. His average at .234 with 7 home runs and 25 runs batted in. And by means of comparison with Schebler, when he was sent down to the minor leagues, he had played 27 games with the Reds, hit .188 with a home run. Since his return, he has played 26 games. He returned on the 2nd of August, and he's hit 6 home runs and hit .266. That ball is booted by the second baseman Cowart, and Schebler is on via an E4.
Well, I think part of that for Scott Schebler, Jim, is the fact that he's getting to play every day now. So it was for a while there that he wasn't playing every day. Duvall had earned the right to play every day in the outfield, and they were looking for a place for Schebler to play, and there were no vacancies. Jay Bruce was every day in right field, Billy Hamilton playing center, Duvall in left. So when he did get into the ball game, it was sporadic. It was as a pinch hitter. He always tried to hit a 3-run home run every time he went to the plate, and he got out of his normal comfort zone. So sending him back down was probably the best thing the Reds could have done. They got him back down into the groove. He was the International Player of the Month in the month of July, and now he kind of continues knowing that he's going to play. He can go 0 for 4, 0 for 8, and he still knows he's going to be in the lineup. That gives a young player like Schebler, a lot of comfort just to know that this isn't my last at bat if I look bad doing it.
He leads away at first with 2 out for Eugenio Suarez. Supplied the Reds' only runs in the game last night with that 2-run homer in the 7th. In fact, here it is. It was his 20th of the year, marking the 3rd consecutive year the Reds have gotten at least 20 home runs out of their 3rd baseman. Cleared the Reds bullpen, bounced, and then went out of the Angels bullpen right behind it, up into those seats out there and left. 20 homers, now 61 RBIs for Suarez.
So that was the beginning of the end for the Angels starter Jared Weaver. He faced one more batter after that. When Peraza had a base hit, they came and gave him the hook.
Mike Trout in the dugout enjoying a rare day off. Jared Weaver on the right, who pitched yesterday.
Well, they've got a day off today, obviously, and not in the lineup, but the Angels, like the Reds, also have a day off tomorrow. So Mike Scioscia trying to get those guys that normally play every day a little extra rest.
Angels, with their 4 consecutive wins, now find themselves a full game ahead of Oakland for the 4th place spot in the American League West. We talked about the fact that this is still going to be, barring an incredible September, the worst record-wise year in Mike Scioscia's 17 out here with the Angels. We got a Pennsylvania guy, Scioscia, who played, 10 or 11 years with the Dodgers and now is managed out here in LA for 17 more. Spent the bulk of his baseball career out here on the West Coast. Suarez thought it was high. He is rung up by Corey Blazer, and 3 strikeouts in the inning for the right-hander Ricky Nolasco.
We had the same grip, and you know, he showed me how what he had to change, because he hit a spot where he started cutting it too, and I think it's just the lower seams that kind of messed it up a little bit. So he showed me how he threw his, and we kind of just sat there for a full day and just I think we threw like 40 changes together back and forth, and I finally got to where it was working. And
kind of interesting what pitchers will pick up nowadays, especially given the fact that they've got some super slow-mo video to watch. It was Dan Straley that, you know, I've met a lot of pitchers in the last 24 years being a broadcaster, and 10 years that I played before that. I don't think I've ever met anybody who's more studious about the art of pitching than Dan Straley. He wants to break it down, I mean, to the smallest fraction possible. And he told me that he was watching a game of his one time when he saw himself pitch with a super slow-mo camera, center field, and saw the ball coming out of his hand. And he would realize, no wonder my pitch isn't doing what I want it to do. It's not coming out of my fingers the right way. So he made an adjustment, and it helped his changeup quite a bit. And that was the same message that he relayed to Brandon Finnegan to straighten out Finnegan. Much the way, like, remember when Homer Bailey was scuffling so much trying to find an off-speed pitch? He had a fastball and a curveball, or a fastball and a slider, and he couldn't get the hang of the changeup, and he kept trying and trying. He finally went down to AAA when the Reds sent him down there, and he worked a little bit with Justin Lear, right-handed, kind of a journeyman minor league pitcher, and Lear showed him that split finger pitch, and that has been the pitch that Homer Bailey's used now as his off-speed changeup ever since he learned it from Lear. So it's very common for one pitcher to help another, and you're not going to find any smarter ones out there than you will in Dan Straley.
Probably some of the best instruction these guys get are from one another like that. Here's that changeup again as he gets Jet Bandy way out in front. That's 3 straight strikeouts for Brandon Finnegan.
All you got to do with that changeup is establish your fastball a little bit. And look where he's staying with it. I mean, he's staying on the outer part of the plate with all of them, so that, you know, the hitter's got to reach for it anyway.
There are pitches, I guess, that can change the course of a player's career. This could be that pitch for him.
That could change the course of some hitters' careers, too. That's the idea.
Here's Gregorio Petit. Starting for the first time in this series. He's getting the nod out in left field. Angels called left field their black hole this year. They've had 12 different players start out there. They had Rafael Ortega start on Monday. Yesterday, Nick Buss. Today, Gregorio Petit. He's at 263 with a couple of home runs. Off day for the Reds tomorrow. Then the Cardinals come into town. Cardinals 3, Mets 3. That's the homestand that begins Friday night. That's a strikeout of Petit. So back-to-back Ks here, and 4 straight for Finnegan. Knock on wood. One thing we're not seeing out of Finnegan as of late, after that 6-walk performance against the Cardinals in St. Louis on the 9th, his last 3 outings, his walks have really been under control.
Well, a lot of that again come back to being able to throw the off-speed pitch. Not all those changeups that he's throwing are in the strike zone. Hitters are chasing them. But to be able to get ahead early in the count has been key.
There was talk certainly early in the year, even into the early part of August, about Finnegan. It was up in the air whether he was going to be a starter or maybe in the end would move into the bullpen. He's made it known from the get-go he wants to start. And now the way he has been performing, I don't know that there's nearly as much talk about him moving.
There shouldn't be a question at this point. I mean, do you have a better starter right now than Brandon Finnegan? You got somebody in the minor leagues that can come up and do what he's done?
Absolutely not. Really, the Reds have, with Finnegan coming around now in August, You have Finnegan, you have DeSclafani, and you have Straley. Pretty solid starters, and you get Homer next year. That gives you 4 right there. Foul ball, third base side. Suarez makes the play. Ortega is out, and a perfect second for Brandon Finnegan.
August, moment number 4. The 22nd of the month. The Reds got blown out, but Tyler Holt comes into the 9th inning to pitch. And not only gets a 1-2-3 9th inning, he did it on 5 pitches. His first big league pitching experience. And he said it's one he'll cherish for a lifetime. Tyler Holt, moment number 4. 5 pitches.
I recall that was about the only good thing that happened in that game against the Dodgers. High throw, but coming down on the bag over there is C.J. Cron. And they retire Peraza for out number 1. That August 22nd game was that 18-9 affair against the Dodgers. It lasted a 9-inning game over 4 hours. Pitch, 1 out now for Peraza. The batter will be Ramon Cabrera. Cabrera starts for the 6th time in the last 7 games. Although the report out of the Reds clubhouse today from Brian Price regarding Tucker Barnhart is that he is available today should the Reds need him. He said the hand is feeling much better. He's going to take full batting practice today. They really wanted to get him, though, if they could, through today, then the off day tomorrow, and hopefully have Tucker back in the lineup on Friday at home against St. Louis. So that's good news. Cabrera at 240 with a homer. He's driven in 17. Even though he didn't start last night, he had a couple of big at-bats late in the game. One in the 7th, the runner on and 1 out. He was the first man to face the reliever Mike Morin. And another one in the 9th inning. He represented the tying run after Peraza had doubled. This was against Fernando Salas, and he lined out to center field. Lee Hamilton waiting on deck. Let's hope it's not another 14 years until the Reds come out here to Anaheim. They were here back in 2002. They lost 2 out of 3 that year. That's the only other time the Reds have played out here. Slapped down the line at third. Picking that ball up is Marte. Wild throw, and into the stands it will go. And Cabrera is going to end up at second base.
I think he probably had a little more time than he thought he did, given the fact that it was Ramon Cabrera running, but he probably didn't know that. Marte goes deep behind third base to backhand this ball, because they had shifted him way around towards shortstop. He just kind of throws a Hail Mary up there. There's no receiver anywhere nearby.
That's going to go down as an infield hit for Cabrera and a throwing error on Marte. The Angels, who went the first 2 games of this series without an error, have committed 2 here early in this one. They have not been a good defensive team this year. In fact, they have, coming into this series, the second most errors in the American League. Here's Hamilton with the corners pinching in. Really hit it hard, but right at Crone at first base his first time. If they wait another 14 years, it'll be 2030 until the Reds are out here. They'll still be doing color.
You're right. Somewhere.
Marty will still be doing radio play-by-play.
They'll wheel us up to the windows. We can look out in the garden in the back. Be calling the imaginary game in the backyard. Or maybe just a Whipple game of the kids that congregate.
You have a fake headset on. Billy swings at one in the dirt. Now that was reminiscent of the old Billy Hamilton swing right there.
Well, you got to figure now it's getting kind of tough to see the baseball. The home plate is in the shadows. The pitcher's in the bright sunshine. You got little shadows behind the mound here, so it doesn't give you a lot of contrast. And what you don't see is the spin of the baseball. You see the ball, but you can't identify the pitch.
It's kind of like the playoffs right now, isn't it? What you see a lot of playoff games in this kind of sun. Round hugger to first, handled by Crone. It does move the runner over to third, Cabrera. And so now an opportunity for Zach Cozart to get the first run of this game on the board. College football season kicks off tomorrow night on Fox Sports Ohio. As the 16th ranked Louisville Cardinals start their season with a home contest against the Charlotte 49ers. Catch every minute of the season's first game tomorrow night starting at 7. Fox Sports Ohio, Louisville and Charlotte. Not that long ago, Charlotte started that football program. They, for a long time, were just basketball. Bobby Lux used to coach that team. He was so successful down there. They started a football program. It may be 5 years old, may not be quite that old. It's pretty young in its relative infancy. They're opening the season tomorrow night in Louisville. I was talking to Adam Duvall about that in the clubhouse prior to the game. He thought it was an away game. Once he realized it's a home game, he said, ooh, I need to start making some plans. Cozart with 2 out. Trying to snap what is now an 0 for 13 dry spell. He's had some decent success against Nolasco. Cabrera at third base with 2 men out. Cozart sitting on 47 runs batted in. Low roller to third. Marte across the diamond in time. Cozart is out to retire the side. Rocket arms. Red strikeout leaders. How about Dan Straley and Brandon Finnegan? Straley 126 is the current leader. That's a career high for Straley, and the same can be said for Finnegan. Updating his, he has in this game 4 so far, so 122 now. Red strikeout leaders are Quicken Loans Rocket Arms feature here tonight. Scoreless through 2.5. Back to work goes Finnegan. He has set down 6 in a row since Andrelton Simmons led off the bottom of the first with a single in the center. And look at 8, 9, and 1 here. Caleb Cowart, second baseman, switch hitter, batting from the right side, leads it off. Cowart only has 5 at-bats this year, hitting from the right side. He's 2 for 5. Diving stop, but no throw by Zach Cozart. Kept that ball on the infield. First pitch swinging Cowart gets himself an infield single.
Well, if you have any idea whether that leg that Zach Cozart was nursing, hurting him last week a little bit, kept him out of the lineup, whether it's come back or not, that should give you a little vote of confidence, as it should give him a little vote of confidence. Looked pretty good on that play.
So now the batter is Nick Buss. Buss, their right fielder, wants to bunt, does bunt, but it's a foul ball. Last night, Socha played mostly in the National League, playing a little National League baseball, trying to bunt the runner along. He had a little stint, Socha did, in the American League at the end of his career with the Texas Rangers, and by and large, 15 big league years, the Dodgers, the Padres, and at the very end, Texas. Buss bunting again. Pulled back, took a strike.
Always remember what Dusty Baker said about not wanting to put a bunt on a hitter when he has 1 strike on him, because if he fouls it off or takes a strike, like Buss has done right here, he finds himself down now in an 0-2 hole. Lefty versus lefty, 0-2. Not a good spot to be.
Peraza will go to Cozart. They get the force out at second base. Takes a strong arm to get to that ball and throw it from what is in effect deep in the hole on the right side, and that's what Peraza did. Reds fans catch all the action this coming Saturday when the Reds take on the Cardinals. That's the middle game of a 3-game series. You can do it for as low as $12 thanks to Kingsgate Transportation. First 25,000 fans will receive a Eugenio Suarez bobblehead. If you'd like tickets, call 513-381-REDS or visit reds.com/tickets. Bus runs the bases, and here is Andrelton Simmons. Simmons hit 5th in each of the first 2 games of this series, leading off here this afternoon. I mentioned earlier, for the first time this year. Back at his career, 2013 with Atlanta, he had some time as the leadoff man. By and large this year, Yunel Escobar has been the Angels leadoff man. He's still out on the 7-day concussion disabled list. They hope to get him back starting Friday night in Seattle. Slowly hit left side. Finnegan off the mound. Fires it down to Votto at first, and that took a strong arm there. He planted and fired, and gets the second out.
Well, Finnegan being left-handed has a little bit of an advantage because he's kind of going that way with his follow-through of his pitching delivery. But what a seed that he throws right down there to Joey Votto. Guy's a good athlete. There's no question about it.
As hard as he had to throw that ball, that's like an extra pitch. I mean, he really had to crank it up.
Or 2.
He gives up the leadoff infield single to Cowart. He's got the next 2. Now deals with Cole Calhoun. Peraza to Votto to retire the side. So a nice job of working around the leadoff hit by Brandon Finnegan. Take a look at our IGS Bringing the Energy feature. Votto, of course, trying to hit 400 in the month of August, trying to become the first Reds player in franchise history to do so. Here are the last 4 that have done it. He's trying to become the 12th player in MLB history to hit 400 in back-to-back months. Josh Hamilton did it in 2010 with Texas. Chipper Jones did it with Atlanta. Ichiro in 04 with Seattle, and Larry Walker did it back in 2002. First one to do it, Ted Williams, back in 1941. Joey gets a hit here, and he's a virtual lock for it. He could go up to 2 for 5 in this game and still hit 400 for the month. And base it into left field his first time. He's coming from a guy who hit 200 in the month of May. And a couple of big days at the end of that month just to get to 200. Back in May, we were talking about the fact that he had never had a month in his career with at least 50 at bats that he hit under 200. This ball handled by Coward, and he will throw Votto out. Leadoff man gone here in the 4th.
Left fielder, number 23, Adam Duvall.
Here's Adam Duvall. Struck out his first time, one of 3 strikeouts for Ricky Nolasco. Overall making start number 27 for the year. He said late in the telecast last night, actually was in the postgame show, that he has started 5 times for the Angels since coming over in the trade on August 1st. The Angels have lost all 5 of those games. Cozart, pardon me, Simmons has that ball go off his glove. Duvall is aboard. The Reds have a 4th inning base runner. They've not been retired in order yet in the game, and Duvall is on.
Number 4, Brandon Phillips.
Second error that we've seen on the Angels. You see the Duvall comes up and he smashes that ball up the middle a little bit. They were playing him way around. They thought that he would be pulling against Nolasco, and Anderson Simmons, normally a pretty solid defender, makes the error there. They gave him a base hit?
Yeah, they sure did.
All right, good for him.
So that extends the hitting streak of Adam Duvall to 6 games. Here's Brandon Phillips. To the mound. Out at second. Behind at first. That is really the Achilles heel of Brandon Phillips. He's now hit into 16 double plays this year. In Mike Scioscia's lineup, leads things off here in the bottom of the fourth. Scoreless encounter thus far from the Big A here in Anaheim. Angels trying to work their way to a 500 record here at home. They're 31-33 here at Angel Stadium this year. Really, it's been sort of a surprise season for them, not just counting all the injuries that they've gone through, because when you talked about, Chris mentioned it earlier, about obtaining a 33-year-old with another big year in his contract, Ricky Nolasco, as to why the Angels would do that. Cozart pick and throw and got him at first base. And it's been because of the injuries to their rotation. I mean, 4 of the starting rotations, 5 are out for the year for this team. They were desperate for starters. They go out and get Nolasco. Andrew Heaney was in their rotation. He's going to have Tommy John surgery. Garrett Richards, the same thing. Nick Tropiano, same thing. They have 3 pitchers who have a lot amount of work ahead of them. Garrett Richards actually, well, he does have a torn ulnar collateral ligament. He's been out since early May. He, at least right now, has decided not to undergo Tommy John, but rather have the stem cell injection into his elbow. Todd Stottlemyre have that years ago.
Well, I guess if you look at the timing of your injury, that will help you make the decision as to what you want to do. Now, the stem cell is the platelet injections as well. Is that what they call those?
Platelet-rich plasma.
Yeah, that's another alternative to it. But if you're injured in May, you know, chances are you're going to miss almost the entire 2017 season anyway. Even if you do come back, you can come back like Homer Bailey late July or August, pitch for a month and a half, maybe have it, maybe not. Or you can see how it progresses for a month or so after you get that injection. And if it doesn't work, you don't feel like it's getting better, then you go ahead and have your Tommy John surgery, and you're going to be lost for 2017 anyway. Used to be that pitchers would come back from that Tommy John surgery right around 1 year out from the surgery. But that was before Major League Baseball began the test for HGH. And, you know, a lot of players are saying, I'm only taking it so that I heal faster. And there is a certain amount of truth in that. Unfortunately, it's no longer acceptable. I don't mean unfortunately, I mean that's just the way it goes.
Didn't Masahiro Tanaka from the Yankees had the stem cell injections and did not have Tommy John, and he has come back and done pretty well. I believe that's the case.
Bartolo Colon had some type of experimental arm procedure done as well. And obviously that's worked out for him.
And he went down, I believe, into Mexico to have that done. And you're right. You underline experimental because he really did go off the grid for that.
It's a large grid.
Off speed, swing and a miss. Down goes Marte on strikes. That's both times he's been up there that Finnegan has gotten him on the changeup.
That's 5 of them for Brandon Finnegan this afternoon. This pitch scattered chart all over the place, but boy, actually a little backdoor breaking ball right there where we sit. It looks like that pitch is a changeup when you're sitting in the upper deck here, but I think when you see it from behind center field camera, it has a little backward break towards the hitter.
One thing's for certain, Marte looked confused and combobulated on that.
Well, it can be a career-changing pitch.
Here's Jet Bandy, the catcher, with 2 men out. Strikeout victim his first time. He was a The third of 4 straight Ks by Finnegan back in the first/second. Tapped out in front of the plate. It's going to be Cabrera to Votto. Bandy is out. That's the second perfect inning of this game. Turned in by Brandon Finnegan. Ohio is brought to you by your local Ford dealer. Ford, go further. And by Cincinnati Children's, changing the outcome together. Don't forget, fans, don't miss a special post-game concert presented by Budweiser featuring country music artist Chase Rice. That's coming up on September the 3rd. That's Saturday. For as low as $32, you get a ticket to the game, a Reds trucker hat, and the opportunity to enjoy the concert from the field. Purchase today at Reds.com/Chase Rice. Remember, that Saturday game is a 4:10 start against the Cardinals. 7:10 Friday night, 4:10 Saturday, 1:10 Sunday against St. Louis. Hit hard by Schebler, but right at Cowart. 1 pitch, 1 out here in the 5th.
Third baseman, number 7, Eugenio Suarez.
Here's Suarez. Called out on strikes his first time.
Velasco has to feel pretty good about coming back here to Southern California. After all, he's a native of Corona, California, which is only about 24 miles here from Anaheim Stadium. Went to high school at Rialto High School, which is a little farther away, about 40 miles. Graduated high school in 2001, was drafted by the Cubs that year, and eventually acquired by the Marlins, and that's where he made the major leagues.
Nasty breaking ball there sends Suarez back to the dugout.
Second baseman.
Just a reminder, as you enjoy the game here this evening from Anaheim, look forward to bringing you a little bit later on our Miller Time moment of the game, brought to you by Miller Lite. Sun's shining as it always seems to do out here in California. We mentioned earlier the Reds have not won out here in the LA area this year. The series in the second half of May at Dodger Stadium was a sweep by LA. Reds have lost the first two here.
Yeah, the Angels have to be very happy with what they've seen the last couple of nights with their starting pitching. Jared Weaver, who had been struggling mightily earlier in the year, has strung together a couple of back-to-back outings, including last night's outing against the Reds. Now Lasco, who has also struggled, is working on a shutout here in the fifth inning.
Yeah, it's just been a real problem for them all year. First half of the season, and it really hasn't gotten any better in the second half for the Angels in terms of their starting rotation.
And what the Reds are seeing really back-to-back days are pitchers who are specialized in that breaking ball.
Pitch in the dirt, chased by Peraza. He doesn't get it. 5 strikeouts now for Nolasco.
Moments of August. August 17th, Brandon Phillips makes 2 terrific plays against Miami. Percy Skies to Rob Prado, but then one of the plays of the year. This is against D. Gordon, one of the fastest players in the game. Backhander, jump, strong throw. What a play. Brandon Phillips flashing the leather. Moment number 3. Top 2 coming up.
Big one right there by Brandon, who was actually DHing in this evening's game. But yeah, that was a big one. Getting the fleet-footed D. Gordon at first base on that play. Gregorio Petit leads things off here in the bottom of the 5th. Inning has walked on. He has struck out 5. He's had 2 perfect innings. Petit, a strikeout victim his first time, finds himself in the hole quickly here. And there's a flail and a miss by Petit, so he fans for the second time, and now 6 of them for Finnegan.
Now that makes Brandon Finnegan especially effective today against 3 through 6 in the batting order. They are 0 for 8 with 6 strikeouts. Talk about mowing down the meat of the order, or maybe slicing through the meat of the order.
Keeping in mind that Mike Trout and Albert Pujols are not in the lineup, but boy, they're on the bench in case a pinch hit situation comes up late in this game.
Well, they know when to sit out.
You wonder, well, how have they done against left-handers this year? You take a look at the numbers for the two of them. Pujols 304 against lefties, Trout 282. Toward Cozart. 2 out. Well, Saturday, MLB on FS1 returns with a doubleheader. First, the Astros collide with Adrian Beltre and the American League West leading Texas Rangers. Then, Miguel Cabrera and the Tigers battle the defending world champion Kansas City Royals. The action begins at 3:30 Eastern on FS1, or watch it live, Fox Sports Go. 2 quick outs for Caleb Coward. That's a foul ball. Finnegan in a stretch of games here, if he can put another very good one together, and he's 2/3 of the way through 5 innings of shutout baseball, would mark the 3rd straight quality start that he has had. He's only done that one other time this year, and that was in the first half of June. If he gets it done here today, it'll be 6 of his last 7 starts, quality starts. You know, there's a lot of people who shake their head at the term quality start, point out the ERA of 4.50, but it's more about keeping your team in the game through 6 innings than it is about the number.
Well, if the numbers you post are zeros, you're keeping your team in the game.
Even if you give up 3 runs through 6 and your team has not scored, you're only down 3-0. That's keeping them in the game.
I wouldn't attempt that kind of math, but I'm glad you did.
You know, the mindset, though, of pitchers, and Brian Price talks about it all the time, wanting his pitchers to think about getting deep into a game. I happened to notice there's a strikeout. We'll have more on that when we come back. But another 1, 2, 3 inning. That is 9 in a row retired by Finnegan. Greater coverage of baseball brought to you by T-Mobile. Some headlines for you. The Texas Rangers become the first team in the American League with 80 wins, the fastest to 80 wins in team history. Texas Rangers have a lead in the American League West of 8.5 games. Nolan Arenado, 34 RBIs this month, most in Rockies history. And how about the former Red Drew Stubbs with his 3rd different team this year, Atlanta, then Texas, and now he signs with Baltimore.
Yeah, he refused an assignment down to the minor leagues, or an outright assignment by the Texas Rangers, and the Baltimore Orioles picked him up.
If they complete the trade with Arizona to acquire Michael Bourne, he may be out of a job again.
Well, he's got more lives than a left-handed relief pitcher.
You would know about that, although you were a starter, I guess, most of the time.
Until they knocked me out.
Cabrera shoots one down the right field line. That ball is into the corner. Buss will play it off the bounce, and there is Cabrera into second with a leadoff double. And that, for the Reds, is the first time in this game they've had the leadoff man on.
Well, the Reds have 4 hits in this ball game, and 2 of them belong to Cabrera. One was an infield hit, or a ball that went off the glove of the shortstop, and this one ripped hard down the right field line.
9th double by Cabrera. First extra base hit of this game on either side.
He's chugging it.
Now let's see if the Reds can get him in. Not led, since they led 2-0 in the first half inning of this series on Monday when Votto hit that 2-run homer. Hillick bunts it. Crone to the second baseman. Coward covering. That moves Cabrera over to third, and that is the major league leading 11th sacrifice bunt this year by Billy Hamilton.
It's a sacrifice bunt, but it's no ordinary sacrifice bunt. I mean, the corner infielder is playing way in. And even with that, Crone, the first baseman, had to pick it and fire it pretty hard to first base just to retire Billy, who was running hard down to first base. See if we can't get a time on that for Billy Hamilton. I mean, he averages somewhere around 3.6 to 3.8. Sometimes a little lower than that if he gets a good jump out of the box.
Angels move the infield in for the most part. Kozak to third. Runner stays put. Marte across the diamond to Crone. Kozak becomes the second out, and now the onus of this inning falls on the shoulders of Votto.
Number 19, Joey Votto.
Now that's really where you wonder if a sacrifice bunt is the right thing to do right there. Especially with the way that they had the infield way in, giving Billy Hamilton an advantage of being maybe able to slap the ball by. I'm stunned that they're even pitching to Joey Votto right here.
And with first base open, Votto hitting the way he is. He's a .350 hitter with runners in scoring position. Votto cracks one right at the second baseman, Coward. That thing had a ton of topspin on it. Coward jumped, and the ball came down, actually caught it about chest high. Family destination this coming Sunday, thanks to Klosterman Bakery. You can get half-price Reds tickets. Enjoy live mascot races, face painting, games, and much more. Don't forget, kids 14 and younger will get a Joey Votto Fathead thanks to United Dairy Farmers. The tickets, 513-381-REDS, or visit Reds.com. A Joey Votto Fathead.
What'd you call him?
Call him a good hitter.
There you go.
Slash
Boy,
great hitter.
The Angels have to figure that they're just playing this game with a horseshoe in their back pocket.
No doubt about it.
That ball's one of the hardest hit balls we've seen on this trip.
You made an interesting point that you were surprised that they were even pitching to Votto.
I mean, we've seen it really the last couple of months when Votto really started heating up. I mean, managers are still playing the odds. But believe me, and we've watched him every day, Jim. He's no ordinary hitter at all. He's not even close. I mean, not only is he hitting the ball hard half the time, but when he doesn't hit the ball hard, the hits that he get are falling in there like he did in his first at bat.
And that's not like Nolasco had put up tremendous numbers against him. Joey hitting over 300 against him with a couple of home runs.
You know, when he's seeing the ball and hitting the ball the way it is right now, I don't care what the numbers say. I mean, there's only so much you can do with past history. In a 0-0 game, well, they got to feel like they're very fortunate right now.
2-2 now to the leadoff man, Nick Buss. Scoreless, bottom of the 6th inning. After today, only 30 games remain in this 2016 season.
Hey, one thing, both these pitchers have been ultra efficient today. Through the first 5 innings, Finnegan has only thrown 59. How many times earlier in the year did we see him go 5 innings and really wondering if he's going to get through the 5th because of a pitch count, getting up around 100 during that time. So the Angels have been hacking. Finnegan's been throwing a lot of strikes.
Well, he's set down 9 in a row and 15 of the last 16 he has faced. The only interruption in that was that infield single by Caleb Cowart in the 3rd. Check swing. He went around on a foul tip. Boss is out. That's a strikeout. That's 10 in a row now by Finnegan.
3 of the last 4 have gone down with a strikeout, and that's just a fastball that eats him up on the inner part of the plate. Finnegan really just overpowering here. Same way he was against the Diamondbacks his last time out. He only went 6 in that ball game, but had 12 punch-outs. Reds ended up losing that game, I think 4-3, that on Friday.
The 97 pitchers in that game, 2 through 6.
Yeah, but it's not like Finnegan has only put together the last couple of starts. He's had quality starts 5 of the last 6. With the last 2 games, especially good ones.
Deals with Simmons, who's 1 for 2. He's had a nice series, 4 hits, 10 at bats. Hard to left center field. Duval on the run. He's not going to get it. The ball will go to the wall, and there's Andrelton Simmons, who is a thorn in the Reds' side in this series. Gets himself the 2-base hit, 17th of the year. The Angels have a runner in scoring position for the first time since the 1st.
Well, with 2 outs last night in the 8th inning, the Reds were down by 1. Simmons dropped a little single into right field to score Mike Trout with an extra insurance run. This time, with 1 out, a gapper right in the seam between left and center. I've always liked Simmons as a player, you know, all the years that we used to see him play with the Atlanta Braves. Solid player.
2-time Gold Glove winner. He and Eric Ibar just basically flipped spots in the offseason.
Simmons is a little younger, I think.
Yeah. Cole Calhoun. Finnegan facing the Angels for the first time in his career during the regular season. Worth noting the fact that he did pitch against the Angels his rookie year in 2014 in the postseason. That was a division series matchup against the Angels. He was with Kansas City, of course, at the time, and he had pitched in June in the College World Series for TCU. And he pitched for the Royals in the wild card game, in the division series, in the championship series, and in the World Series. And he appeared in 2 games in the division series against the Angels. In fact, out of the bullpen, picked up the victory in game 2. He pitched in the 10th inning with the game tied 1-1. Kansas City gets 3 in the 11th. He ends up being the winner. The first time he pitched in that series was in the 7th inning of game 1 in a 2-2 game. So he was in a couple of big time tight situations. Duvall going back. He will get to the spot. Simmons will tag, but he's not going anywhere. Good drive by Calhoun, but out.
Good throw by Adam Duvall, too. And that was a one-hopper right on the money, just in case Simmons decided to go.
The batter will be C.J. Cron.
He sets himself and throws, and I think everybody who has seen Duvall play has been impressed. A lot of things, obviously, with the home run power, but with the defense as well. For a left fielder, he's a very good defender.
Going out towards center. That's going to fall for a hit. Simmons will race to the plate, and the Angels draw first blood. They score in the bottom of the 6th inning and take a 1-0 lead.
Now that's too bad right here for Cron. I guess it's a battle won a little bit when you keep the guy in the ballpark. Had a couple of home runs last night. But this time he gets the ball a little bit off the sweet spot and just dumps it into shallow left center field. And a double and a single and a 2-out run batted in for Cron.
Now 6 for 11 in this series with 6 runs batted in. A name that you really may not have heard much about, C.J. Cron, but he has certainly been impressive.
He's a big dude.
1-0 Angels here in the bottom of the 6th. Jeffrey Marte.
Should be mentioned, maybe a little bit easier to see the baseball now, with the shadows just completely covering the baseball field.
Yeah, the only player in sunlight now is the right fielder. That's where this ball is hit into the right field corner. Schebler chasing. Schebler came up short on that ball. Cron being waved around by Ron Renicky. He will score over to third with a throw, and they've got him. A tag put on over there by Suarez on Jeffrey Marte. Angels will want to take a look at this more likely than not, just to be sure.
Well, I think he was called out because he touched the bag safe and then slid off the bag as he tried to go around. The run scored, so the Angels will pick up a run. The throw by Votto right on the money. Safe, out as he comes off the bag. Laz Diaz all over.
Gonna go 9-3-5. Marte tagged out at third base, but the Angels get a second run, and after 6, they lead 2-0.
2 in August, and this one's all about Billy Hamilton. Got turned around twice on that catch, but still made the play on the 7th. This might be one of the catches of the year. He went a mile and a half on the 23rd to Rob Beltran, and then back-to-back days Billy did it. Next day, Hamilton robs Moreland. It was a month full of catches for Billy Hamilton. One of the best in the biz. Moments number 2. Top moment coming up.
You know, you show 3 of them there for Billy Hamilton. That there's probably more. You had to decide which ones to show because the guy is just, I think, an unbelievable talent out there in center. Nolasco now with a lead with which to work as he pitches here in the 7th inning. Mentioned that he has not won, nor have the Angels won a game that he has started since the trade. He last won on the 9th of July at Texas. Been a good 6 weeks for him since he experienced a win. And he's going to get Duvall here, and the ball that was dropped picked up and on to first in time. You know, we keep track of special people's birthdays so we can pass those kind of notes along, and we have one today that we want to pass along. A big tip of the Reds cap, and from Fox Sports Ohio, happy birthday goes out to Dick Weiland, celebrating birthday number 87 today. Big party today in Clifton for Dick. Now he's either back home or a friend's house watching Reds baseball. Avid Reds fan.
Dick comes to a lot of games. Of course, he's a big contributor and philanthropist to many different charities and well-deserving organizations around the Cincinnati area, including the Reds Community Fund. He has a whole field and complex named after him over in the Western Hills area, and we congratulate Dick on another wonderful birthday, 87 years young.
Yeah, that's the Dunham Recreation Complex in Western Hills, known as Dick Weiland Field. Happy birthday, Dick, number 87. Phillips has struck out and tapped into a double play. Phillips DHing today. We mentioned that earlier. It's only the 4th time in his career that he is DH'd. 3rd time this year. He also did it one time way back in 2005. Toward right field, glove up to block the sun, and Buss makes the play. 2 out. Don't forget now, college football back on FS1. It kicks off with a special Friday night edition. Heisman Trophy hopeful Christian McCaffrey leads 8th ranked Stanford against Kansas State. It all begins Friday at 8 Eastern, FS1. Bunt. And Nolasco gets it. That's a 1-2-3 inning here in the 7th for Ricky Nolasco. Stretch time here in Anaheim. Time to look at our Honda game summary. It's been all about this guy on the mound, Ricky Nolasco. His longest outing of the year was his final one with Minnesota when he went 8 here this afternoon in Anaheim. Evening in Cincinnati, he's gone 7. And he's got this support from C.J. Cron. That single in the center knocked in Andrelton Simmons. Made it 1-0. Cron later would score in the double by Jeffrey Marte. That's where we are now. Stretch time here at the Big A.
Maybe the Reds can stretch the defense a little bit, come back and stretch the bats. They need a little bit of runs, but first they need another scoreless inning.
Jed Bandy leads it off. Golfs this ball out to left field, and Duvall will make the play.
A lot of first pitch strikes from both of these pitchers. 21 for Ricky Nolasco, 16 now for Brandon Finnegan. And both of them have been very efficient. In fact, Nolasco has had only 1 3-ball count all game long, and Finnegan only 2. So the hitters are hacking like it's a getaway day, and the pitchers are throwing a lot of strikes.
But you made an interesting point earlier talking about the first game of this series. Matt Shoemaker threw very well, their best starter. But these last 2 games, last night, Jared Weaver, a 5.31 ERA coming in, not having a good year. Same really can be said for Nolasco, 5.24, not having a good year, but they have been able to dominate.
So the question is that more of a commentary on the quality of the Angels pitching or the status of the Reds bats right now?
I'll bounce that one right back to you, and you answer that.
I think probably a combination of both. They were playing such good baseball there for a while. They had a big outburst down in, I guess it was in Arizona on the very first game.
Yeah.
And they really have not done much offensively ever since.
Two quick outs here in the bottom of the 7th by Finnegan. Dealing now with Rafael Ortega.
Ortega can run a little bit, but if you watch his front foot, he just steps a little bit into the bucket, looking for something on the inner part of the plate here. They're going to pitch him that down and away. Well, meant to anyway.
Reds, by the way, made a little shuffle in their rotation with the off day coming up tomorrow for the St. Louis series. In part, in fact, mostly because of Homer Bailey's tendonitis in his bicep. We'll go with Anthony DeSclafani on Friday. Dan Straley, who was originally scheduled to pitch Sunday, will go Saturday. Tim Adelman will pitch on Sunday. Cardinals list Alex Reyes, Jaime Garcia, Carlos Martinez. I saw Reyes over there in relief in St. Louis. First time the Reds had seen him. And the club was over there in July. He's now moved in to the rotation with Mike Leake going on the DL. They have another long laundry list of disabled players, including Waka and Leake, out of their rotation. And yet, the Cardinals right now own the number 2 spot in the National League wild card race, 2.5 ahead of both Pittsburgh and New York. Trailing the number 1 wild card team, the Giants, by 1 game in the loss column.
Really amazing when you come to think of it, with all the injuries that they've had. Every team has had a lot of injuries, including the Reds, but the Cardinals this year have been especially the victim of some tough injuries. And they just keep hanging right in there.
Holiday's on the DL. Matt Adams is on the DL. Aledmus Diaz on the DL.
Seth Maness, very capable reliever.
Good work by Finnegan in the bottom of the 7th. He retires the Angels in order. Thank you, Pick. Well, still a couple of innings of baseball to go. Maybe the Reds can get something going here. So far, they've been unable to do that against Ricky Nolasco. He has set down 6 in a row, 10 of the last 11. Reds have had a runner in scoring position only 2 times in this game. Both times it was Cabrera in the 3rd, again in the 6th. Suarez was able to get the Reds on the board last night with that 2-run homer in the 7th. Leads it off here in the 8th. He's 0 for 2 with a pair of strikeouts. And he swings and misses there. Nolasco came into this inning with only 74 pitches thrown. And his best outing of the year was his last one with the Twins on the 29th of July against the White Sox. There's strike 3 call. He's got 7 of them now in this game without a walk. The leadoff man gone here in the 8th.
Second baseman, number 9.
And with MLB.TV Premium, watch every out-of-market game live in HD on over 400 supported devices, includes a free subscription to At Bat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details. Here's Peraza. The game against the White Sox on the 29th of July. Nolasco 8 innings, 1 run, 3 hits, his best start of the year. And in that game, he had a no decision in a 2-1 Twins win. Nobody's been able to say Twins win in a while. The Twins going into action today have lost 12 games in a row. They're 49 and 83. Along with the Braves, the worst records in baseball. Left of Simmons, he'll flag it down, get it, throw it, and out at first base. Nicely done by Andrelton Simmons to retire Peraza.
Catcher, number 37, Ramon Ferrer.
Simmons got great range. You see how far he has to go to get this ball. Remind you, though, also Peraza really can get down the line. Probably the second fastest runner on this Reds ball club behind Billy.
So here now is Cabrera. Reds have 4 hits. He owns 2 of them. Infield single in the 3rd. Smash and a double into the right field corner in the 6th. In the air to left. And the side is retired. 3rd time today the Reds have gone down in order.
and Miller Lite. Let's take it back to 1967. Tony Perez in the All-Star game. 1 out in the top of the 15th inning. He hit a home run off of American League pitcher Catfish Hunter. The game winner. He was the game's MVP. We showed you the different configurations of the stadium last night. Well, that's part of the history of the stadium and a good moment for Reds history. Doggy Tony Perez.
Meanwhile, a new pitcher on here in the bottom of the 8th inning for the Reds. Into the contest comes Raisel Iglesias. He last worked on Friday against the Diamondbacks. In 2 innings in that game, allowed a run on 2 hits. Iglesias has been something to behold in terms of pitching out of the bullpen for the Reds this year. 1.03 ERA for Iglesias this year out of the pen. 20 appearances, 17 hits in 35 innings with 40 strikeouts just out of the bullpen. High in the air. Billy Hamilton will make the catch.
I've been trying to get a sampling of opinion on Raisel Iglesias from visiting scouts that have seen him pitch a little bit, from members of the Reds coaching staffs of other teams, just to where they think where he may fall best, considering, if you assume that his arm's going to be okay, where would he fit best on this Reds ball club? And obviously, you're either going to be the closer or you're going to be a top of the rotation starter. Because he's right there with everybody else when he's on. I don't think there's anybody on this ball club that has better, pure stuff than Raisel Iglesias, nor the type of different weapons that he has to get lefties and righties out as a closer.
I guess the question mark comes with the shoulder, right?
Yeah, and I think that when everybody considers the fact that his arm may not withstand the rigors of throwing 200 innings a year, then maybe a closing role might be the best fit for him.
Down the right field line and extra bases for Nick Buss. He will pull up at second base with a 1-out double here in the bottom of the 8th. Boy, it is imperative. The Reds are going to have a chance here for Iglesias to put a 0 up.
He went right down there to get that pitch. Interesting, the Angels today, by resting their big boys, had 3 left-handers in the lineup and 1 switch hitter against a left-handed starter, Brandon Finnegan. Now, you're right about stranding this extra run out there.
Simmons 2 out of 3 today, 5 hits in the series. Finnegan goes 7 innings, 2 runs, 5 hits, no walks, and 9 strikeouts. Another excellent performance by the left-hander. In fact, saw the no walks in 7 and wondered, is that the best he has done this year in terms of depth into a game with no walks? The answer is yes, that is the best. Early on in the year, he went 5 innings in a game with no walks. Another time 5 2/3. Back in early August, 6 innings, no walks against St. Louis. This is the first time this year he has gone 7 without a walk. Finnegan throws only 84 pitches in 7 innings. That's pretty good right there. Angels bullpen, meanwhile, is quiet. Looks like Ricky Nolasco will have an opportunity to go for a complete game. 10 in his career. His last one came as a Twin 2 years ago. Reds will try to avoid being swept in this series. They've been swept 8 times in series this year. 6 in 3-game series. Last time on the road was the end of May against the Dodgers. Ball 4. 2 of the 3 that Iglesias has faced so far have reached base. Walk of the game on either side. Make sure you're ready for Reds action. That's 30 minutes before every game here on Fox Sports Ohio with Reds Live pregame presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing. Off day tomorrow, and then we'll be back at it on Friday night against the Cardinals at Great American Ballpark. Reds Live at 6:30. Game broadcast at the top of the hour. Pitching matchup will feature Alex Reyes, the top pitching prospect for the Cardinals, against Anthony DeSclafani. First of a 3-game series against St. Louis.
Yeah, it looks like Iglesias overthrowing just a little bit now. Make a pitch right here, get a ground ball, and get yourself out of the inning. Calhoun ought to well know about the Reds anyway. Especially their spring training headquarters. He's from Buckeye, Arizona, which is a neighboring town right next to Goodyear, where the Reds spend their Februarys and March in preparation for the Major League season. Ended up going to Arizona State.
Like he broke his bat. He hits it into shallow right. Schabler will make the play. Second out.
First baseman, number
Look ahead to the Reds' 9th inning. It'll be the top of the order. Hamilton, Cozart, Votto. Votto needs a hit. He's 1 for 3 in tonight's game. He needs a hit in order to hit 400 in the month of August and become the first Reds player since 1900 to hit 400 in back-to-back months. Only one other Reds player has ever hit 400 in 2 months during a season. That was back in 1961 when Veda Pinson did it. Difference being that Pinson hit 406 in May, 403 in September. No Reds player has ever done it in back-to-back months. Came in right at 400 for the month. Not seeing the sharpest Iglesias here tonight.
No, we're not, but that doesn't mean you're going to have your sharp stuff every time out. You've got to battle it. You got to figure out what's going to work for you. There he is trying to get his body to remember the motion that will get the best out of his pitch.
Cron singled in the first run of this game back in the 6th. And that ball's going to go up the middle. That's a hit. Buss rounding third. He will head home. Boy, oh boy, C.J. Cron, he's had a heck of a series. 2 more RBIs today, 7 of them in the 3-game series against the Reds.
Easily the toughest out in this Angels order. Big guy drops the head, finds a spot on the left side of the infield right between the shortstop and the second base bag. Kind of what the Angels did last night. They added an extra run. into a 2-run game for the Reds to go into the 9th inning. A little bit more daunting here tonight.
Cliff Pennington bats for the first time. He took over at second base with Caleb Cowart moving to third. Jeffrey Marte leaving the game. He lines this one toward the second baseman. Peraza on a hop. Throws him out at first base to retire the side, but the Angels get another run. Reds will have the top of the order up. Hamilton, Cozart, Votto down by 3 in the 9th.
Of August, on the 19th, Michael Lorenzen just back after being on the bereavement list. His father had passed away. He changed his entrance music to honor his dad, and after pitching, fate would have it, he would get an at-bat, and the first pitch he saw, he drove out of the ballpark for his first major league home run. Point to the heavens, tears, hugs all around, and a curtain call. It was straight out of a movie script. One of the greatest moments I've seen in person on a baseball field.
No doubt about it, Jim Day. That was a big, big moment for Michael Lorenzen. There's some great moments this month of August. Some good stuff we've shown here tonight. I'd like to make more of it right here. Reds need a win in this game to end the month of August. The 500 team to 13-14 in the month. Meanwhile, Ricky Nolasco looking for his 11th complete game of his career. Starts this inning at 82 pitches, in case you're wondering about pitch count. Most he's thrown in a game this year is 110. He's only at 82 as he starts the ninth.
Really one of the most efficient games that we've seen pitched against the Reds this year. Jose Alvarez, a left-hander that took care of Joey Votto last night, is up in the bullpen just in case.
Hamilton hard toward left field. Backpedaling is Petit, and he makes the catch for out number 1. 9 straight going into this inning. Retired by Ricky Nolasco. 13 of the last 14. Gets the leadoff man. The only 2 complete games the Reds have had thrown against them this year by 2 pretty good pitchers. Jake Arrieta, they no-hit him back on the 21st of April, and out here in Los Angeles, 23rd of May, Clayton Kershaw, a 2-hitter in that 1-0 game. That was also with Finnegan on the mound. Last time Nolasco went the distance was May the 2nd, 2014. That was in a 3-0 loss as a Twin to the Baltimore Orioles. Last time he went the distance and won a game, you got to go back 4 years. September 9th, 2012, when he shut out the Nationals in DC in an 8-0 win. He's not been in this spot in a while. Back to the mound, past the mound, Pennington on to first. 2 out. They're cheating up the middle on Cozart, and it paid off. So now one of the big storylines in the second half of the month, really the last week in particular, comes down to this. Joey Votto needs a hit here to hit 400 in the month of August, become the first Reds player since 1900 have back-to-back 400 months. He hit 413 in July. He's just under 400 now, but if he gets a hit, he will be at 400. 398 right now. He gets a hit, he does it. He doesn't get a hit, he falls short. But he hit his first time, grounded out in the fourth, and absolutely tattooed a ball in the sixth inning, unfortunately, right at the second baseman.
So what do you think? Is he going to do it?
I think he'll do it.
I do too.
Boy, he wanted to pull the trigger, but
two really good pitches so far by Nolasco. I mean, on top of about 80 other ones.
his 92nd pitch coming up right here. Wow, that takes some discipline to lay off that pitch right there. Toward left field. Petit will make the play, and Ricky Nolasco with a 1-2-3 ninth inning retires the last 12 he faces, 16 of the last 17. He gets a complete game shutout win for the first time since September the 9th, 2012. As the Angels win the game 3-0, and unfortunately, Chris, for Joey Votto, one hit shot.
Yeah, that's too bad. Votto had one heck of a run there in the month of August and on top of a terrific month of July. But welcome back to Southern California, Ricky Nolasco. Born and raised within 50 miles of here. I'm sure he came to a lot of Angels games as he was growing up, and he celebrates his homecoming in a way that I'm sure will surprise a lot of people here. Reds, they get on that airplane, they fly home, they get a day off, and then they got the Cardinals coming into town.
Angels win their 5th in a row. Reds drop their 4th consecutive game and end the road trip at 1-5. Back with more right after this.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Cincinnati Reds and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.